is disgusting outside. It is pouring. Pouring. It's raining. It's pouring. The old man is not snoring. I wish I was snoring. I wish I was sleeping, but I'm not. Anywho, it's 10:30. Happy whatever day it is for you. How are ya? Thank you for being here. Welcome back to the vlog. I don't know what today's vlog is gonna be. Hello, so this is actually a few days later I'm filming this, but I did ask on my Instagram story of what you guys wanted to know about arts festivals, whether it be how to get into them, how to find them, all the things that you would need to know if you're just starting out, stuff like that. So I hope I answer them as best as I possibly can. So here are some questions. All right, so I have like roughly 26 questions. So I'll try to do this as quick as I possibly can because I'm not trying to make this an hour-long video. So the first question is, how do you find good ones in your area? So I started doing art shows in 2015, I do believe, and I've just lived in Pittsburgh my entire life, so therefore I've gone to festivals and I grew up going to festivals because my mom used to be in little like craft shows, because there's also a difference between like craft shows and arts festivals. Craft shows are more of like, they give you a table and then you sell whatever you want at the craft shows. Like I've done little craft shows at churches, at little flea markets, things like that. The arts festival, that's different because that's more of like, you have to apply to get in, you have to be accepted, you have to pay to be there. Most of them you do have to pay to be there. But basically the best way to find an arts festival or art show or flea market or anything is just Google art vendors in my area, and then it should pop up. I know Pittsburgh just has a lot, so maybe your area just may not have a lot of these types of events, but I know in Pittsburgh, because it's a large city and there's a lot of like art in the city, so therefore there's a lot in and around Pittsburgh. So I'm very lucky with it being there's a lot here. If you're in an area that you have never been to one and you want to do one, and I'm pretty sure there's definitely like a flea market, or if you could just look up like flea markets in your area and then find their contact and then be like, hey, like there's been times wherever I started, I, you know, applied for art shows, and I also reached out to the flea market people and like, hey, like just wondering if you have any extra spaces, can I just set up a table and then maybe, you know, sell my art and stuff like that, and then I would show them my art and then they would say yes or no. Usually so they say yes, but there's been many shows that I haven't been accepted to, which is totally fine. Most of the shows I do get accepted to, which is really great. The best way to find a show or event in your area is definitely just Google it. But if you also have been to any shows, if you remember where they were located, or the best way is just to contact. So if you know of a show and you want to get into that certain show, just contact the people who may run it, or they'll always be like an email thing, and then just ask for whether it be an application or just like a payment for your spot. Every single one is totally different in price, but I'll get into that. But either way, Google is going to be your best friend for this entire situation. Then this one is also by the same person. How far do you recommend traveling to be in one? I've only ever traveled 3 hours the most, because the thing is, you have to bring all your stuff with you. So like I would absolutely love, I would love to do a show like in California or Seattle or Denver. Those are the 3 places that I've always wanted to do a show. Oh, also, there's a show in, which I don't know if they did it, in New York City that I want to do so bad, but it's so expensive to be in and it's probably really hard, and I would literally have to live in Manhattan from like Thanksgiving to New Year's, which would be awesome. I would love to do that sometime in my life, but it's a pretty petty to be in there, and like I don't even know how I would do that. So because then you have to get all the inventory there, blah blah. So either way, you can travel however far you would like, but remember that you do have to travel with all of your stuff. Luckily I was able to jam everything into one car, which was really good. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we are not using my car for shows ever. I will never put show stuff in my Tesla. Because the amount of like dings and stuff we put in my mom's car for the last 5 years, there's holes in the ceiling because I have like these grid walls that go in, they're really sharp, and it's just the whole thing. So if you have a really nice car and you have grid walls, stuff like that, I suggest to protect it somehow. don't do what we did, but that car is so old anyway. So now basically anytime I ever do a show ever again, I'm literally just going to rent one of those little U-Haul like vans that are like $25 a day, and everything will fit better in there. I don't have to cram it and ruin my mom's car or my car. Like I said, you can travel as far as you want, but personally I have not traveled past 3 hours, because then also you have to think, okay, so say you're traveling, you have to pay to get there, so you know, gas and tolls and all of that, then you have to pay to stay there, therefore a hotel, then you have to pay to be in it, depending on what show you do. Might be $20, might be $150 just to be in the show. It's very, it all depends on what the show is. So there's a show that I do in Cleveland. It's like the 78th Street Studios, usually the first or second weekend of December. I obviously didn't do it this past year, and I don't know if I'll do it just because the setup is so small and I don't even know how I would set up again. Like, this is how I set up for this show, and as you can see, everything is just on grid walls and pegboard, but now I don't do it that, I mean, I do it that way, but I have the little containers now. So it's and also I had to do that show, I think it was a 2-day show, and I then had to stay in a hotel for 2 days, and I had to make sure it was a hotel that was close to the location so I don't have to drive far. More of an expensive hotel because it was in the city and I need to pay to be there. And then also you have to remember, because I was in Ohio and I live in PA, I then have to pay Ohio taxes, not PA taxes. So I mean, that's a whole thing, and luckily I have my dad to help me with that. So once I know everything, because he's very helpful with that, so I don't want to do a video about that yet until I process it myself. If he's a very large help with like the taxes and accounting and all of that. But this year I'm slowly learning how to do it. So I would just like to know how to do every single thing myself. I know how to do some things, but there's just a lot that goes into it. So once I know how to do everything, I will let you know. But right now I'm still learning. It's still a learning curve. I'm winging it every day. So like I said, you can travel however far you want. You have to remember the location you have to stay in and stuff like that. So I've never gone past Ohio. I would love to. Then COVID happened, so we'll see. So I'm kind of going the same order as they came in. So some of these might be like back to back, the same person asking questions. So this person said, what payment option is best to use? Square, ? Personally, we use Square because it has a little like, we just use my iPad, and I bought this like iPad stand that kind of looks like a checkout thing. Not like the fancy Square one that's like $200. You don't need that. You don't need that. Just get one off of, I'll like link it down below, the one I think that we have. I got off on Amazon. It's just like an iPad stand, and it switches around, so then people need to sign if they need to sign. With the Square, you just plug it into, you plug it into your headphone jack, but I'm just thinking right now all the new iPads don't have that. So how do you do it then? I think they have an adapter or something. Either way, you plug this little Square in, and then you just swipe it. And I know a lot of people have like the card reader thing. They also have like a little Square, and then you put the card in, stuff like that. So that's the best way, and then it's all in one app and everything like that, and you can see all the taxes put in, blah blah blah. So personally, for shows, we like to use Square. That's like a savior. I love it. It's great. This person said, how will you manage all the people if you're gonna be so packed? So I've never done a show during COVID, so I'm very nervous about that, because here's a little video. So this is what my tent usually looks like. Specific arts festival that I do every summer. It's a 10 by 10 space. It's literally packed for 8 hours straight. Like, it is insane. It's insane. It's definitely not COVID friendly, I'll tell you that one. It's crazy how packed it gets, especially for the arts festival. And even like on smaller arts festivals or smaller just like art booths and stuff, luckily because my products are so small and stickers are very like, are items in my booth that aren't really like, because they're on the lower end of price, they're not an item that people have to like, oh, do I really want to pay for all that money for like that piece of, you know, art or stuff like that. So with stickers, people don't even think twice about it. They're like, oh, especially if they have kids, It's like some kid can get four stickers for 10 bucks, and parents, like the kids are like so excited about it, and parents, it doesn't really like put a huge dent into their wallet that day, especially because like I'm sure at a festival you get food, you have to pay for parking, all that stuff. And if you bring kids, they obviously hope to get something. So whether it be a $3 sticker or 4 stickers for $10, I've had so many parents like personally come up to me and just like thank me for having affordable products, if that makes sense. Like I have more expensive stuff, but mainly my stuff goes from like $3 to $10 or so. So it's like a very affordable tent to get something at. So that's why I do really well at shows, just because when people see all of these stickers, they just want to keep buying, and then I have like show deals and stuff like that. So as for this question, how am I gonna manage it? Well, how we managed it before was just like, there'll be times that I'm at the show by myself and it's so stressful because I have to check people out, but then also I have to like make sure people are not stealing from me, because I know for a fact that people probably have stolen from my tent because it's so crowded. It's so easy just to like, and then leave. I hope people don't do that, but I'm pretty sure that happened. I never caught it, but I'm pretty sure it happened. So the way that I kind of managed it was just like, I don't even know how I managed it. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how busy that is. I usually have someone there, but for the shows that I do completely by myself, like the Cleveland one, I just have to just be alert at all times while also checking people out. It can get very stressful if you're new to it. So just remember to breathe and just keep your tabs on everything. And I love that feeling that a lot of people are in here and I'm just like, and people ask me questions and it's just like, it's a lot going on at one time, but it's a feeling that I know how to manage, but I don't know how to explain it. It's just like the way that and like, luckily when people are waiting in line, they're very patient, which is great. Like it's a 10 by 10, it is tiny. Like when you think of a 10 by 10 and like 20 people, like there'll be times that there's a line to just get into my booth. So as for this year, this arts festival, I now have a 20 by 10, so I have a double size, which is great, but I don't know how the crowds are supposed to be. Like, am I not? That's like a whole thing, like the COVID situation. I don't know how, like, am I only allowed to have a certain amount of people in my booth at one time? And do they all have to be like socially distanced? I don't know. I don't know. It's a little stressful just thinking about how that's gonna work. And I know I'm gonna have to wear a mask the entire time. I'll keep you updated on when I know all those things, but in a normal world without COVID, there's a ton of people in my booth. But then there'll be times that no one's in my booth, or other shows that I don't do as well, and other shows I do amazing. It really just matters on like what kind of crowd is there, and you know, if they're looking to buy or looking to just look, stuff like that. So okay, so this person said, are they expensive to get into? It's very different every show. Some I've been in are $10, and some, like the Arts Festival, the Three Arts Festival down in Pittsburgh, because it brings in such a large crowd and you get exposure a lot to like a lot of people, and you're there usually from, depends on what you get accepted to, either 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, or possibly 6, but I always get the 5. Well, my first 2 years I got the 2, which is like the first weekend, which is good. So it all really depends on the show and how big of a show. But for the Three Arts Festival, I do believe it was like $420 literally just to have a 10 by 10 space. That's it. This year it's a lot different because there's not that many people that are in the show and it's not where it usually is. I think it's like only 300 this year, and I have a double booth, so I don't know if I have to pay. I probably have to pay double, I'm assuming. I don't know how that works yet. We didn't get our full info yet. Hopefully soon, because the show is exactly like a 1 month away right now, so a little stressed out. But basically, I've never been in a show that was free to be in, so it really depends on, like, there's an application fee if they're huge. So the Three Arts Festival application fee is $50, and then if you don't get in, you don't get that money back, which is kind of sucks, but that's just the way it is. And also, back to the question on where to find shows. If you're looking for larger shows, Zapplication, or I'll have a link down below. Zapplication.com is where you have to apply through for the Three Arts Festival, but also there's a ton of different shows on there, but I've never used that other than just for the Three Arts Festival. So maybe in the area near you, or maybe an area that you want to go, you might find a show there. So I forgot about that to mention that before. But as for the price, they are expensive to a point, because like there'll be some in Pittsburgh. I'll do the Handmade Arcade. Nope. Yeah, I'll do a Handmade Arcade and the I Made a Market. If you're in Pittsburgh, the I Made a Market does a ton of shows, little vendor shows. So that's just imadeamarket.com. Right now, obviously they're not doing any just because of COVID, but hopefully once everything opens back up and it's all safe, that the I Made a Market will be back up and running. So if you're in Pittsburgh or close to Pittsburgh, feel free to check that out as well. So yeah, it all differs. So usually like smaller ones are like $20 to $50. I think the one in Cleveland might have been like $80. So then also you'd think, you know, whenever you're trying to travel, hotel price, show price, food, and like, you know, all that stuff. So this person said, I would absolutely love to get in this festival next year. Any tips? So the one that she's talking about is the Three Rivers Arts Festival, which is the one that I'm gearing up for. Very nervous. That one is it's very hard to get into, and I had no idea that I would get into it the first year. The first year I applied, I think I explained this before. So the first year I applied for the emerging artist, which I think I explained about that before, but either way, you apply and then you're like an artist that's never done a show. You get a mentor, you don't have a booth fee or anything like that, but I think they only accept 1 or 2 of those artists. So the emerging artist, like I said, you have no booth fee. They give you a tent, which is good. They give you tables, I think, and they give you a little mentor to kind of explain how a show runs and stuff like that. So like that's what I applied for to begin with, but for some reason, I guess they saw my social media and I had like more followers because this was shortly after I won the Starbucks contest. So they just like put me right into the artist market, and I was like, meaning they just give me the space. That's it. I had nothing. I had no idea how much. I didn't have any inventory. I barely even had like a business at that point. And I had my Etsy, but like I didn't have that much. So I was really surprised that I was accepted into that show. Like I was like, oh, I'll just, you know, apply, and then, you know, if I don't get in, that's fine. At least I'll be on their like radar for next year. So like they keep seeing my name, and I'm like, maybe they'll finally accept me. But that wasn't the case. They accepted me, and I had the first weekend, and then the second year I got accepted again, and I had the second weekend. The third year I was accepted and I got 5 days, and that's when I just like blew up. But I remember the first show I ever did, it was the 2-day one, and I made like $4,000 in 2 days, and I was like, that was like the biggest I've ever made with my art at that time. And I was like, what? I was like, I love shows, but the thing is, not every show is gonna be like that. I'll get into that once that question comes up. But any tips to get into this one? Have a really good portfolio, and like you don't need a social media appearance to be in the show or anything. It's just that kind of helped me, I guess. But also like I really think not that they only accepted me for this, but like it was kind of a big reason because the whole me winning the contest was still like, you know, high on the radar at that moment. So I had credit from that, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that was the reason why I was accepted, but I feel like that was like a nudge why I was accepted. But I knew a lot of other people have been accepted to that show. There's usually 200, 300 artists, but this year there's only gonna be 50 the first 5 days and 50 the second 5 days. And you only can be Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania in-state resident, because usually like people come from forever away, like so far away, just to be in this show because it's such a good show. Also, whenever you apply, they ask you for a booth photo. But the thing is, I never did a booth. I literally drew up my booth. I'll see if I can find the picture. It'll be right here if I can, but I literally drew the setup of how I would want my booth to look, and they just went by that. With the application, you have to upload, I think, 5 pictures of your products, and then also a picture of you creating like in your space, and then also a picture of your booth setup. So that's what I did, and I drew my booth setup because I never did a booth, and that's why I was very surprised that I was accepted. So it is very hard to get in that show, and I just think I was on a lucky win right then when I got accepted. I really didn't think I was going to, so I wish I had more tips to get into this show. But it's just, you know, there's hundreds and hundreds of people who apply for this show, and I know like one girl, she's tried like 4 times, and the 5th time she finally got in. Like 4 years in a row she was declined from this show, but like the 5th year she finally got in. So also it helps if you have different art, because if you're someone who does jewelry, the thing is, there's like probably 20 other booths that are jewelry. Luckily, what I had and have, well, what I had at the moment was just prints and originals, but like I guess my style of art, they didn't have that in the show already. So I was different from a lot of other artists from that show. So therefore, you know, if I was jewelry, maybe I wouldn't have gotten in because there's already so many people who do jewelry in that show. And there's people who have been in that show for like 30 years. Like, it's crazy. And they're still kicking. It's great. It's so fun to like meet everyone and all the other vendors from all these different states. That's why I love doing shows so much. I love to like just meet other creators that are like in the same world as me. It's really fun. I do miss it a lot. I don't know. I wish I had more tips on how to get in. I guess just like tips on how to get into a show. Social media is very, very important, but don't think that you need to have like a large following or anything to get into shows. It's just you have to have some, like, honestly, like as a small business, your social media is like your portfolio, if that makes sense, because they always ask you to link it, so then they check it out and they check how like people engage with you and like stuff like that. So make sure you have like your products on your website, good pictures, and then they ask you for a little blurb to explain, you know, what you do, who you are, all that stuff. So just have a good like presentation, if that makes sense. Okay, so same girl, because like I said, I'm doing them in order. She said, how did you find popular festivals? I've been to a few where barely anyone shows up. There was one show, it was like in a small yoga studio, and I did not sell one thing. There was maybe like 5 people who actually came to this thing, and I just like sat there for like 4 hours with all my art and like all my stuff, and I sold one thing. It was to the person who ran the event, and I guess she felt bad and she bought like 1 sticker. So that was many years ago. But yeah, I mean, I've been to shows that I don't do well at all, and I've been to shows that are really good. Especially outdoor shows are really good, because if someone's just like walking down the street or driving down the street and they see a bunch of tents, it's like they want to stop and see what that is. If it's inside, there's a better chance for like it to be missed, if that makes sense, unless they saw an ad for it or you talked about it on your social media or stuff like that. So also, basically, I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I'm still here, obviously. I grew up going to festivals, so I kind of already knew where and what festivals to do, because like during the summer, that's just what my family and I and my friends and I, we would just go find different festivals to go, like whether it's a flea market or any little, you know, church vendings and just like all the things. I just grew up doing that, but like I never thought I would actually be in one. And now that's what I did for the last like 5-6 years. It's a really hit or miss. You really just gotta like get through the ones that there's no one there. Just, you know, if at least one person sees your art, that's good. Don't feel like discouraged if, you know, you don't sell anything and like you're like, I paid for this spot, no one came and no one bought anything. Like, trust me, I've been there where like I didn't make as much as I usually make, or like that one show I made literally like $3, and then I'm pretty sure the spot was like $15 or last $12. Like I said, it's like it's really a hit or miss when it comes to trying to figure out what shows to go to. And you know, I've done 3 shows in one weekend, and then after you do it a while, you kind of know which ones work for you, which ones don't, because like I've done ones that I'm just like, my art just doesn't fit in with like the group of people that were coming, because like you gotta feel it out. Try to find the smaller ones, just in case you don't do very well and like the cost of the show is lower. So if the cost of the show is lower, that means it's probably a fine show, but it doesn't bring in a lot of people. If like cost of your space is higher, that means like it's a good traffic show and a lot of people come through and buy. So just feel it out, I guess, see what works for you. And not every show is gonna be big. Like this, like the Arts Festival, I just call it the Arts Festival, which is the TRAF, which is 3 Rivers Arts Festival. The TRAF Festival in Pittsburgh is like the biggest one I've ever been in, so it's crazy. Not every single one's gonna be like that, trust me. Okay, so this person has 2 right next to each other. She said, how do you know how much to bring? And the other one is, do you bring all your inventory? So I figured that was like kind of the same-ish question. So the first year when I was accepted, luckily my friend, his mom, worked for a store that had a tent throughout like the last like 5 years or so. So I was like, I messaged her and I was like, hey, I got into the Arts Festival, blah, blah, like how much inventory, what size prints? Like I had no idea. I had no one to tell me. So I was like, luckily his mom was, you know, very helpful with this, and I was like, okay, thank you. She told me, and like at that time I only had prints. I had 2 sticker designs, and they weren't even waterproof. They were like labels that I said that they were stickers. They It was really bad. But basically, I asked her, I was like, okay, so I'm like doing prints, stuff like that. Like, what do I do? And she told me like, you know, do the classic 5x7, 8x10, and 11x14. And then she said a lot of people buy small things at this show, at this very specific show. And actually at a lot of shows. She said, make sure you have more of a small, lower price product because those are easy to grab and people will grab multiple ones. So my lowest price product I had was $10 for a print. And so like, I just like kept selling the 5x7s. That's like what was the most popular one. And she told me to get just like, I was only there for 2 days and like I've never done a show before, never did, you know, new for products or anything like that. And no one knew who I was. And now whenever I'm at the show, people know who I am because they've seen me so many times at this show before and also now because of social media, which is really cool. But at that moment, no one really knew who I was and no one knew what my art was or stuff like that. So there was all new people seeing my work, which is really cool. That's why I like doing art festivals or art vending and stuff like that. But basically she told me to do more smaller price point ones and she's like, just get a couple hundred of each one. And I was like, okay. And then I had to like bag them all because, you know, when people are going through all the prints, like people may have like sticky fingers, so you want to make sure that like each print, especially if you're doing prints, each print is like in a little like print bag that you could just like get on Amazon. They're called like plastic sleeves or something, I think. I don't know. That's what she told me and I was like, ugh, okay. And then also with the 3 Arts Festival, the application says that you need 75% of it to be original art. So I took that and this is the time that I just did pen and paper. I didn't do any digital work at this moment, at this time of my business or art journey or whatever you want to call it. So I had so many original drawings. Like this was my booth. I had so many original drawings. I think I only sold like 1 actual original drawing and the rest I just sold prints. Because people don't, like at that time, like people didn't care to buy the original if they could just buy the 5x7 for $10 instead of the original for like $80 or something like that. But I framed everything and all of that and it just, you know. But nowadays I do stickers and the only original art that I really bring now, because I do everything digital, is my canvases. My stickers are basically like 90% of my booth, but like I think they're cool with that because they've never said anything bad about it. But I think to make sure you have like some original pieces. Not every show's like that. Not every show. This is the only show I've ever been in that like says that. As for the second one, do I bring all of my inventory? Usually, I guess it wasn't last year. I guess 2019 was the last time I had a show at this show. Yeah, I'm one to want to bring everything, but luckily I live 15 minutes away, so if I were to, you know, sell out of something and I didn't bring all the inventory, I could just come to my studio or at that time go home and get it and bring it down to the show the next day. As for 2019, I decided to bring everything, and I had so many restocks of stickers in containers underneath the table, so whenever one sold out, then I was able to restock it, and then whatever, you know, when that restock was gone, then it was totally sold out. And like there was one show that I sold out, I think I only had like 10 designs left out of like 300. Almost every single sticker sold out, which was crazy because I got a lot of stickers that year, like a lot. That was I think my 3rd year, because I started doing stickers like 5 years ago, so that was my 2nd year. But as for 2020, since I have a larger booth, I'm really hoping to bring everything, but also not everything may fit in my display. So then I figure out like, okay, what stickers that aren't really popular. We're trying to figure out what the setup, we actually have like a Zenian meeting tonight, trying to figure out the setup and make sure I have a lot of storage, because unfortunately a lot of shows you can't put anything behind or in front of your booth. Everything has to be in your tent. So therefore all of like your extra stuff, whether it be business cards, checkout bags, inventory, things like that, they all have to be in your booth at all times. So that's a little stressful because also you have to have like a checkout area, but then you have to have room for inventory, and it's just it's a lot. But this is the first year I've ever gotten like a 20x10, so I'm very excited about that. We're trying to figure that out tonight, so fingers crossed we figure it out, because we have to figure it out today. We have very limited time. Even though I have so much inventory, I try to bring as much as I possibly can. You don't have to bring, a lot of people don't bring all their inventory, so that way they're like, oh, I don't have it here, but it's on my website, so then people go on your website. I like to have everything there because I feel like people are not going to like remember to go to my website, if that makes sense. You know, I just want it to be here, and if they want it, I want them to be able to get it that day. So this question is, do you need to buy tickets in order to go? Usually, you don't really have to pay to go to any arts festivals unless like for some reason it's like a private event or a limited event. But as far as I know, I've never been in one that you have to pay unless it's like part of an event, if that makes sense. Like I've done like a wine convention randomly, and obviously you had to pay to get into that. As for like normal arts festivals and just like outside ones, you don't really have to pay unless that's a rare one that you do, but you usually don't. As for 2020, I don't know. Oh my gosh, it's not even 2020. I've been saying 2020. 2021. As for 2021, I know that they're making it a lot smaller and they're changing the location because they need to barricade, and they said that they're only letting, I forget what they said. Something like they're letting 2,000 people in at a time. That seems like a lot, but hey, it's outside and it's very spread out, I guess. I don't know. I'm still learning about this show. I really wish we get the info this week. Basically, for this year, I do believe, don't quote me, I'll give you guys a little update later in the videos, not this video, but if I have a little update about the Arts Festival, I will let you know. If you wanted to come and see and meet all the cool artists there, and I just want to meet people. I'm just so excited to be back in the art festival vendor world with my people. Anyway, what was I saying? Why is this so, basically the same. And then this question is, do all/most arts festivals switch artists halfway, or is it a PGH thing, which is Pittsburgh? I've only ever been in one show that they switch out because the arts festival in Pittsburgh is 10 days long. They want to give enough artists the opportunity to be in it. Like I'm in the first 5 days and then we switch out and then it's another 5 days. Every single other show that I have ever been in or event that I've ever been a part of, they do not switch out. It's literally probably just this show because it's so long, and they just want to make sure that all artists have an opportunity to be in the show, maybe not at the same time, but I guess it's a Pittsburgh thing. It's not a Pittsburgh thing, it's just the Pittsburgh Arts Festival thing. And then this person said, do you get all the income or only a certain percent? You get all the income. Whatever you make there, you keep. You don't have to give any to the show. That's the whole point with the booth fee. That's the only thing that you give to the show, is the booth fee. But after whatever you make in that show, you get to keep all the income, which is great. Then this person said, what do you do at an arts festival? I don't know, if I'm assuming they ask me what I do, not what like a customer does. But basically what I do is I set up a booth, and it's like a little pop-up store, and so then people, and usually you're like right next to, I don't know how this year's gonna go, but usually you're right next to someone else's booth or a table set up, whether it's inside or outside. You're usually right next to each other, so it's just like store after store after store, or booth after booth after booth. Basically I just stand there and I say, hi, how are ya? And then they say, good. And I was like, good, yeah. And then when they start looking, I usually say like, oh, these are all waterproof stickers. They're all 1 for $3 or 4 for $10. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I usually try not to badger the customer until they like ask me questions, stuff like that. Because I personally, whenever I go into a booth, I don't like the person just like down my neck breathing, like watching me shop and stuff like that. So I usually just say like, you know, hi, and then I explain the prices and what it is, and then I let them free-for-all look. So basically what I do for the entire show is just I stand there and I wait for people to ask you questions, and like I explain things, check out people, and that's about it. And like restock things. They're really long days, I'll tell you that. They're very long days, especially when it's not busy, and then you're just like sitting there, you're just like, when is this over? Because I've had so many shows that I'm just like, when is this over? We're literally just sitting here for no reason. But luckily I always bring my iPad so I can work while it's like a slow day. Because there are some slow days, not the Arts Festival, but at the other shows there are. This person said, what is something you wish you knew? There's a few things, I guess. So the first year that I did it, because I knew absolutely nothing, I had all this original art and I was like, how am I going to set up my booth? I have no idea. I looked on Pinterest. I asked for, you know, the mom that I asked for advice with, but mainly Pinterest for sure. But basically the first year I realized I was like, I needed, especially if you're doing an outdoor show, don't do this. Don't do this. Oh, it was so bad. Don't do it. The first year, since I had no idea what I was doing, I had no setup or anything, I looked on, I don't even know what I looked on, but I was like, I need walls, right? I need walls. So I decided to rent like gallery walls that they were like, you know, 4x2s, very thick, and it had like kind of fabric on them, and they had pillars. So then I basically made like a U shape of my whole tent. But the thing is, if you're doing an outdoor tent, do not do this, because with an outdoor tent, if it's windy and you have no way for air to go through, your entire tent's gonna move with it. And that's what happened for me. My entire tent. Because at least, you know, if it's in the summer, there's gonna be wind, there's gonna be rain. Especially for the Arts Festival, it's just no matter what, every single year it rains at least one day. Like torrential downpours at least one day. Basically, don't do that. And I think I spent like $200 just to rent these terrible, terrible walls. So if you want to hang stuff or something like that, get grid walls from Amazon or somewhere else, but I got mine from Amazon. I'll have them linked down below. Grid walls are great because just a grid wall and you can hang stuff on it, or you can, you know, attach pegboard to it, which is what I did for my stickers for many, many years until 2019 when I switched it up, which I will explain that. But I used to just put my pegboard on these grid walls, and so then they weren't attached to the tent at all. So therefore, if the tent like shook whether it was super rainy, windy, if the tent shook, my display was fine, if that makes sense. Because trust me, there's been many times that I'm worried that that grid wall will just like smash into someone's face. Never did, so that's good. But also then again, it's good to attach your display to your tent because then it weighs it down. You also need to get weights for your tent. And then also you need to make sure it closes and it's waterproof. There's so many things, there's so many things. That's a different question. I guess that's what I wish I knew, that you need to make sure, especially if it's an outdoor show, you need to make sure that air can get through your tent or your tent is just gonna be destroyed. So don't do that. As for the one show that I just didn't have enough stuff, I wish I knew back then, like it's better to have just like a ton of stuff rather than not having enough stuff and selling out quickly, because then like you can't pack up. You literally just have to sit there with an empty tent with nothing like for people to buy. More inventory is good, which is a little stressful. I wish I knew how much inventory to bring, but it all depends on the product you do and the space it takes up and stuff like that. So it's hard to explain to people who aren't doing stickers, which is basically all I bring. Actually, no, I'm bringing so many different things this year. It's a long list of things that we're going to figure out tonight. So, okay, so this person said, also packing, pre-ordering, everything you need to do before. Can you talk about that? Basically, you get accepted into a show a couple months before, but for me right now, I have only 1 month to prep for this giant show. And I haven't done a show in like over a year. So I'm very out of my element right now, but I'll get right back into it because I love doing shows. But basically, things that you need for like outdoor shows, you need a tent. You need a waterproof tent, and usually the tent has to be white so it matches everything else. I don't know what any other vendors, I don't know what the other events, but all the events or shows that I've ever done, everyone has a white tent just because like the show wants it to look uniform or something. You need weights. You need either like sandbag weights. I've only ever used sandbag weights. People sometimes use like water weights. I'll have my sandbag weights down below. And also I bought my tent from Sam's Club. I think it was like $300 or $400, but don't get it from Sam's Club because the amount of times that I've had to like buy a new top and walls and all of that because it wasn't a good tent. Just go on Amazon, find a tent, make sure it can close up and zip up. It's way easier to zip up in the middle than to zip on the legs. Don't, because my friend in Ohio, he is the one that zips up in the legs, and like if you don't get it like perfectly in the corner, the zipper will just break. So much easier to get one that closes all the way, zips in the middle, zips on in the middle on every single side. You need ratchets. Those are for the weights. So you need the ratchets to attach to the tent. That's a big thing. Whatever your display is. As for me, whenever I do tables, like for my mini stickers, I always make sure that I I have everything like kind of velcroed on the on the table, just in case like it gets knocked off or things like that. And it's really helpful if you have an area like behind, because you need a cash box and you need change, and it all depends on, you know, what type of show you're doing, how much you think you're gonna make. What is my hair? So I always like to have like a table so like no one can get behind me, if that makes sense, because basically you just have like a cash box full of cash ready to go for the show, just like a, you know, at a store or whatever. So it's good to have a cash box with like a lock. That's really good. I think I got mine at Office Depot or Amazon. Pretty much get everything on Amazon, so. And then you just need, you know, your inventory, and then also it's really helpful if you have a sign with your business name, and you can get them at like vistaprint.com, or I usually get mine locally done at a printer in Pittsburgh at Copies by Carson. Just make sure you have all the signs of like how much things are, and kind of labeling everything that you have, whether it's handmade or sewn or stickers or waterproof stickers, like things like that. Just make sure it's way easier to have more signs of like prices and what they are, instead of people just keep asking you like, how much is this, how much is this? It's just easier to have a sign so then they could just read for themselves, and you don't have to be like bombarded by people asking for prices. So that's very important to have, you know, prices when you're setting up for a show, whether it just be one table, because I've had a show that I just have one table, that's it, and I just sit right behind it. That's it. Don't really do those anymore because I have way too much inventory for that, and I am too indecisive, and I can't just pick a fourth of my stuff to bring to a show. Whenever you're doing a booth setup, if you have like a tent, you're essentially setting up like a pop-up shop. So make sure you have a checkout area, and make sure you have signs and a nice display and an open tent, like an open, what is that word? Open space? No. Open layout? Open layout, because people are going to be walking in and out, in and out. So if you have like a lot of walls, that's not gonna work. Like for me, I try to make my entire booth open, and then everything's on the wall, just so like there's a lot of space for people to move and not be so crowded, and be able to like look at everything and be comfortable in there. So I always make sure that I try to set up my layout before the show, just so I can see like the space, because like you can draw it, you can like imagine it in your head, but whenever you actually set up with the tables and all your display units and stuff like that, like the space just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and you're just like, there's no room for anyone to walk. I thought I wanted a table to go this way, but then there'll be like 2 feet for people to walk, and I'm like, no, that's not okay. So luckily I have a large backyard, and we always set up my tent back there with like the tables, like the large display things, not like the inventory or anything. This year I have a 20 by 10 tent, which should be coming in from Amazon tomorrow, hopefully. And in the building that I have my studio in, it has a parking lot. So I'm just gonna come on like a Sunday and then open up the tent, because also I've never used this tent before. I need to make sure I can get it up fast, get it down fast and stuff like that, because usually when you're setting up a show, you have like 2 or 3 hours to set up the entire show. Luckily for the Arts Festival, we have until like 9 p.m. is when we start, and then we have until whenever we want to go until. And that was with a 10 by 10 tent setup. I'm gonna have to bring like all my friends to help me on my 10 by 20 tent, because it's gonna be a lot. But as for the tear down, you only have like, I think an hour and a half or 2 hours, but it's easier to tear down because you're just like shoving things in boxes, and luckily you have less inventory to take home because you sold all that inventory. So make sure your setup is easy, and like just like boop, like the tent, it's a pop-up tent, good to go. Put some tables, put the inventory on there, done. It's also if you're doing a show that goes into the night, sometimes I do like night shows. Make sure you get, you know, light, and then also make sure you check if the show is giving you electricity. If not, then you have to get battery operated lights. I usually try to do like twinkly lights, something that just like, I try to make it all like a whole experience. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do this year. I'm really hoping to bring my Zenspire stickers LED letter lights to the show, because they're all battery operated, which is good. So I don't know. I think that's all you need to know before. I don't even remember what I said, but I hope it was helpful. So this person asks, do you make a lot of money at arts festivals? So like I said before, it varies on which show you do. Like, you know, that one show I've made negative $12. My first show I ever did, I made $4,000, which was awesome. The biggest show, which is through its Arts Festival, the most money I've ever made in one show, it was, I think, in 2019. Yeah, that was the last time I ever did the big show. In 5 days, I brought in like $18,000, which makes no sense to me at all. at all. But knowing that like all those people are coming and they're buying all these stickers and they keep buying things, which is awesome. People will come back and buy more. And there's just so many people at this show. That's the only show I've ever made that much money at. Like, that was crazy. But when you think about it, I probably spent $12,000 on inventory for that show. So I brought in a lot. You know, it's like one of those, you know, you have to spend money to make money type of situation. Like I couldn't bring all that money in if I didn't have all that product, which I had to pay for. So, and I have to buy inventory this, sorry, my camera died. Clearly, because I've been talking for way too long. What was I saying? What was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying. I was talking about inventory or something like that. I think I was talking about how this week I'm gonna have to buy lots of inventory. Because this time around, I'm going to have to buy inventory for stickers, keychains, magnets, mouse pads, coloring books, so many things. So hopefully I bring in a lot of money for this show because I'm about to spend a ton of money just to have inventory for this show. But that's usually not the case for other shows. Like it's mainly just for this giant show because I know how much product that I sell at this specific show. I don't ever, for the other shows, I don't ever pay that much for like to get that much inventory for. Basically on like a normal show, I guess I usually make like it's a good day. It's a good day if I make at least $1,000 a day at a show. Like for a weekend show, I could make like my usual was like $2,000 to $3,000, which was awesome. But the thing is, remember, I had to buy inventory. I have to pay to get there. I have to pay to be there. Stuff like that. The turnaround income for shows is really, really good, but there's a lot that goes into shows, like buying your setup and all that stuff. So I do make a lot of money at shows. It's great, love it, but like there's a lot of artists that don't make a lot of money, and I never really talk about money like in person to other people because like I'm like but like on the internet I'm like whatever, that's fine. Don't feel bad if you don't make like you know, after that one arts festival that I got $4,000, I thought every show was gonna be like that. It wasn't. It wasn't at all. At first, like I would be lucky if I got, you know, a couple $100s in a day or in the entire weekend. But then once, you know, I brought in more inventory and I had a better setup and I was doing better shows, my income for each show like kept getting higher and higher and higher. So, but yeah, the most I ever made at a show I think was like $18,000, and that was your arts festival that I have in like a month. And that was for 5 days, I do believe. So, but a lot of inventory was bought for that show. This person said, would love a suggestion for sticker display at a craft art. What? No, at a craft fair. I've done it 3 different ways. This is my 3rd way, I do believe. I'll try to find like some pictures, but the first way that I did it, or I guess 4 ways. Yeah, I've done my sticker setup 4 ways. So my first display on my stickers, I found, I think like at IKEA possibly, or Amazon, I can't remember, but it was like this, and it was just a box, and then in every little divider was my stickers, and then on the lid I had the lid right behind it with the sign of how much they were, what they were, and which stickers I had. So that was the first year, or the second, like first and second year, because I didn't have that many stickers. If you don't have a lot of stickers, that's a good way to do it, just so like then you can close it and then pack it up and go home type of deal. And then I switched to pegboard on the grid walls that I spoke about earlier in this video, because this video is probably really long, so I'm so sorry. Anytime I do a Q&A, it's always long. So I just keep talking. I need to stop talking. But no, I want to help you guys. So just, you're gonna have to just bear with me. So basically, you get the 4x2 grid walls with the little feet on Amazon. I think they are a little bit pricier, but the thing is, like, mine has lasted like 5 years, and I just keep getting more because I need more. And then what I've realized, which is really, really good way to do this, if you want to display anything, whether it be an indoor or outdoor show, this is really helpful for an indoor show. So what you get is like at Lowe's or Home Depot. I think I get mine at Lowe's because I think Lowe's is the ones that have the pre-painted white, because you can get pegboard that is just brown. I did that, and then I painted it white, and then I realized the next year that I could just buy pre-painted white pegboard. So it can either come in 4x2s, which is what I got because each wall was a 4x2, or it comes in a 4x8, but I only use that for my studio. So I had my stickers plastered onto the wall, because when you think about it, you have to tear everything down and put all your inventory in like something that you can transport from the show to your home, or show to your studio, stuff like that. So what I did was, I was like, I rather, because I started getting a lot of stickers and a lot of inventory and a lot of different designs, and I was like, I want it to be like displayed somehow. So that's whenever I figured out the grid walls and the pegboard situation. And then also on Amazon, I bought like pegboard hooks, and then, which I do not suggest to do this, I did this, and I don't know why. For like, I think 2 years I did this, because I didn't know anything else. Maybe this is another thing I wish I knew what not to do. What we did was we bagged every single sticker individually. Every single sticker individually in a plastic bag. One, that is so bad for the environment. That is so much plastic I was using. That was really bad. But I didn't know else how to display it, because I was like, okay, well, what if it rains? I don't want them to get, you know, ruined, but they're waterproof, so they won't get ruined. But like at that time, I didn't think of that. These plastic bags from clearbags.com, you can get like a ton of different packaging stuff from there. They had little holes. So then what we did, we just had the stack of one design on a hook, and then at the end of the hook, I was like, okay, well, what if it's outside and these bags are just gonna fly off? It took me like a whole week to figure this out. What I figured out was that I needed a stopper at the end of the hook, but I couldn't figure it out. So I went to this hardware store and I saw that they're called like drywall spacers or something. They look like this. They're orange, the one that I picked. There's definitely different colors, but the ones that were orange fit my hook perfectly. So therefore, I was able to put the orange stopper on the hook, and then the bags wouldn't fly off if it was windy in my booth outside and inside, because also it was much easier to like pack up, you know, stuff like that if they didn't fall off. Sorry, I keep touching my hair. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with my hair at this point. It's fine. So those stoppers helped from, you know, the bags from blowing off. But me being me, I was like, I don't like that these are orange, because when there's so many of them, that's like the first thing that you saw was all these orange tabs, and I was like, nope, we're not gonna do that. So my mom and I painted every single one white, or spray painted it. I don't know. I think we first tried to spray paint it, then it didn't work because you could still see the orange, and it was just like, we probably spray painted like 300 of them, but luckily you could just like do them all at the same time. I just wanted to like dump them in like a cup of paint, but then obviously the inside would, you know, get ruined and not be able to like poke through or something. I don't know, but that was super helpful when you're trying to do a display outside, to make sure that it has a stopper if you're using like hooks and like stuff like that. So after realizing that I don't need to put them all in bags, because also with them being in bags, it took up way more, like each sticker took up way more space than it should, and then I couldn't put as much inventory on one board. So I was like, I'm getting more designs. I need to figure out a way to get as many designs as I possibly can in an orderly fashion on these boards. So therefore, nix the bags, unbagged over thousands and thousands and thousands of stickers. We unbagged, and then I think it was Amazon. Yeah, Amazon. We got these little tabs, which I may have one. So wait, hold on. Give me like 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back. So we bought these tabs, and I saw these on the internet. I was like trying to figure out, I was like, I need something to stick on the back of the sticker and then just hang it and just be done. So that is what I did. Kind of hard to see. Oh, can you see that? Can you see that? It's a little like tab. We just call it tabs. So basically they all come on like a sheet, and you just peel it off, and then it's sticky on the back. So then you just stick it on the back, and then you can hang it. It's so great. It's great. I love it. And then with this hole being here, you can still put those drywall stoppers on the hook, because this is the way you'll use the same hooks. I just had a bunch on hooks, which was great. Like everything was uniform, everything like that. Great, love it. So that's what I used this method for, I think 3 years. And then the method that I have now, I've never brought to a show, and I don't have no idea how I'm gonna do it, but it is. So we no longer tab anymore, because I was like, oh, I'm not doing any shows for like a whole year. Don't know when I will ever do them again. So we stopped tabbing. And so for a while in my studio, everything was just like in bags on the hooks, and it was just like, I was like, I need to figure out a better way to do this. And then I found on Uline, which I will also have linked down below. Let me show you. I found these little container things. Let me show you. Like exactly how this is set up, this is how I want my show to set up pretty much. But as you can see, I have these little boxes. I have literally a ton of them. And the best part is it's so uniform. Oh, it makes my heart so happy. But basically, it has like this little cut down. So also it has these little hooks. They hook right in there. How nice and perfect is that? So this is the new setup that I do. So whenever I get the stickers in from my printers, they come in a little bag and then I just plop them right here. And that's it. Thing is, this is the setup that I want for my show. We have some ideas. We're gonna figure it out tonight, how we're going to transport these to my show. Personally, I would like to just keep them on the board. Actually, I had to get new boards because these boards are the 8x4 boards and they are drilled into wood up there. So I'm not taking these down, or I'm not taking these boards to the show, because usually I just take the same board to the show, but I'm going to get just show boards. That makes sense? I would love to put these on the boards and like saran wrap it or something, and just because we are renting a small U-Haul, not truck, but like the smaller part of the, like it's like a van or something like that. So that'd be nice if like all this is just already set up and I could just take it out of the van and be done. But I don't know if that's gonna work. So, because I have a lot of them, as you can tell, I have a lot of them, and they're over here as well. Also, another setup, I bought these, are wonderful. These are wonderful. They're from Amazon. They are metal spinny things of pegboard. How amazing. So, okay, say you have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, what, 20, 40, 60, 80. So say you have 80 stickers or less. This literally could just be your sticker setup. Perfect. All you need is these and then this little thing, and then also this thing. You could put a sign here, which I'm going to do. I'm hoping to bring these to the show, but I don't know how they're gonna work in my tent because they're just, you know, like that. So I don't know, I'm still trying to figure it out because people have to be able to like turn it so it can't be right against the wall. Every single side you can get 20 of these boxes, which is really awesome. So these are super helpful because, as you know, I've used all of this room and all of that pretty much. I have some room up there and then these. So I'm currently running out of room for pegboard. But oh wait, let me show you actually. Okay, so we just use these for my my keychains right now. So this is the hook that I was talking about from Amazon. And then what we did, as you can see, like this one is very orange, but oh, then sometimes, and then we tried, so I totally forgot, but we tried to put white tape on it so we didn't have to paint them. So we painted the top and put white tape around them. I mean, there's some that are just painted. And then also, totally forgot again, see, you can't really see very well. So you can kind of see inside right here, there's a glob of hot glue. Because the problem is when people saw these things, they thought they were supposed to take them off. And I literally had to make a sign that says, don't take off stoppers, just like pull it over. You know what I'm saying? So this is a good way to like also display keychains or anything like that, because like see how like uniform it looked? This is essentially what my stickers looked like. Just pretend they're tabs and stickers, not keychains. Basically, this is what the little tabs looked like, but as you can see, that one is still orange because like without the tabs, things can easily just fall off if you're outside and it's windy. So the tabs are really good. Obviously the tabs kind of work, they kind of like stop it, but especially for the sticker bags, they stopped it very well. So that is one way to do it. And then also, if you have mini stickers, we just bought these little containers at like Michael's or Joann's or anything like that, and then this is how I display and organize my mini stickers. This is what I'm gonna do this year. Still trying to figure it out, so I'll let you know how that goes and if it works. Okay, so I was going through the rest of my questions, and that was actually the last question. I'm so red. Am I? I don't know, probably not on camera, but I feel very red. I'm pretty sure my heat is still on because Pittsburgh doesn't know what weather it needs to be. It's either snowing or super hot or super rainy. Today is super rainy, so it's fine. I think that's it. I think that's it, maybe? I hope this was beneficial and informational. Like I said, if you have any more questions, please leave them down below. And if there's enough of different ones, I will just make a part 2 about this, or just comment them like directly back towards you. So most likely probably we'll do the second option where I'll just answer you instead of making a whole new video. But if there's like a ton of questions, I will gladly make a part 2 of this video. But as for that is all my knowledge. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that I'm missing. I just haven't done shows in so long that I need to get back into the groove of it. So I'm sorry if there's some things that I'm missing that I'm not talking about. Like I said, have any more questions that I missed anything, comment down below. And yeah, I'm very excited to get back into the arts festival world, and I'm really excited for you guys to like just get into the arts festival world, because basically if you're just an online small business, you never actually really get to meet the people who are enjoying your art. And that was like one of my favorite parts about a show, is that like I can see people's like live reactions to what I create and what I sell, and like my little baby, I'm just giving little parts of my baby away, and it's really cool to connect with people face to face, especially after 2020/2021. I'm really excited to just like, you know, get back into that community, because it's really a community. Like I've made so many friends literally just from shows, and I'm usually on the younger age on arts festivals, because there's a lot of people who just been doing it for so long, and they're all just so talented, and just it's so fun to just meet new vendors that are in the same world. And like sometimes we'll catch up after a show, and we'll just like talk about things that if you're not in this world that you just can't relate to. And it's really cool just to not feel so alone like in your bedroom running your business. Like once you like set up your business in person and see people enjoying your work, it opens up so many things, and it's just really great, and it kind of reminds you on like why you're doing this and stuff like that. So I love them. I'm so excited to be back. And you know, if you're in the Pittsburgh area or around it, on June 4th through June 8th, I will be a part of the Three Rivers Arts Festival, and there's more information. I will link that down below. I'll just link down their website about the show and stuff like that. I will be there. Very excited. Double booth, so much inventory, so many products. I will make sure I have almost everything there. And if you're coming, I really hope I get to meet you guys. And it also really says that anytime I get to meet you guys, like I usually hug you and take pictures with you. Are we not allowed to do that because of COVID? I'm fully vaccinated, so, but then other people aren't. I don't know. It's like a whole thing. I'm very curious on how it's gonna work out this year. I don't know. So very excited, and I hope I get to meet some of you guys again. I used to meet you guys all the time, so I hope to get back to it. So okay, well, that is the end of the Q&A. Thanks for listening to this really long video.